with a plus 400 odds to win the NFC South and one of the easiest schedules in the league. Are the Panthers up next?
Tell me what they wanna see me for. Hit me out, here we go. What's the report? Tell me what they wanna see me for. Hit me out, here we go. What's the report? Tell me what they wanna see me for. Hit me out, here we go. What's the report? Tell me what they wanna see me for. Hit me out, here we go. What's the report? Bring it to you
welcome to the Report. Appreciate you guys for taking the time to hear me out here on the Report. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, because we're about to get into this article. Of course, football season is this month. We got the Hall of Fame game later this month, and so that means all August is preseason, and then the regular season is right around the corner in September. So subscribe to the channel. We're going to be covering all things Carolina Panthers and also NFL in general, but of course I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, so I appreciate you guys. So without further ado, let's get into this article and let's talk about this, because the Carolina Panthers, man, in year 3 for Bryce Young, year 3, usually, you know, this after last season, that strong finish that he had, you can only imagine that sky is the limit this season. Like, he has nowhere to go but up from here. And I keep saying that, and I'm going to keep reiterating that, because it's year 3. You got weapons. You're rebuilding. It should be enough. Again, I'm not saying Super Bowl, but it should be enough not to have one of those, like, 5-12 finishes from last season. Third in the division. You know, the Panthers on a pretty long playoff drought, just like Atlanta hasn't. The Panthers and Falcons last made the playoffs the same season. It was a 2017 season where the Panthers lost to the Saints in the wild card round. The Falcons did beat the Rams in the wild card round, but they lost to the Eagles in the divisional round. So that was the last time those two teams made it to the playoffs. And of course, we got the Bucs, who are looking for their 5th straight division championship. Of course, that first year with Tom Brady, they didn't win a division, but they did win the Super Bowl. So they've had a stranglehold on this division for quite some time. And of course, the Saints looking like a rebuild year for them. So they're not expected to do anything, and it would really shock people if the Saints did. Let's get into this article. Let's get into it, because it's a nice article to break down. So we're going to get into it. It says that you can see Bryce Young right there. It says 2025 NFL predictions. Best bet, Panthers to win NFC South. They are going all in on the Panthers, and this was published by Will Hill. That's a funny name. Fox Sports betting analyst. That's who published this article. It says, for this week, let's take a look at the NFC South from a betting perspective. The Buccaneers have quietly dominated this division for nearly half a decade now, as they go for their 5th straight division title. Ironically, the last time they didn't win this division was 2020, the COVID year, when they settled for a wild card spot. However, they went on to win the Super Bowl in their own stadium in Tom Brady's first season with the team. It has been 4 straight years. Tampa's is going on. They are going on going for their 5th straight division championship, because before that, if you remember, the Saints won the division 4 years in a row from 17, 18, 19, and 20. Continuing with the article, it says the Buccaneers are odds-on favorites to once again win the South. The Falcons are plus 250. A $10 bet returns you $25. And nearly captured this division in 2024 under rookie quarterback Michael Penix, who was inserted into the starting role late in the season. But a couple of overtime losses to end the season derailed any chance for the Falcons, who narrowly missed the playoffs. That's right, they did. They were right there. Kirk Cousins ruined their season, man. I ain't mad at it. And then it says the Saints are long shots, and rightfully so, as the surprise retirement of quarterback Derek Carr leaves the team in a rebuilding position with rookie quarterback Tyler Shaw likely to start the season opener. none of these, and we're gonna look at the Saints, and we're gonna follow the Saints as well, and we're also gonna follow Shedeur Sanders, because the Saints are really a team who I thought for sure was going to take Shedeur. I was surprised that they didn't take Shedeur Sanders, but that said a lot to me about what was going on. After that, I was just like, okay, something's up. But that's another story for another time. It says none of these three options are worth a bet to me at their respective numbers, which leaves the Carolina Panthers plus 400, which I think is the best value of the bunch. This time last year, most fans thought of Panthers quarterback Bryce Young as an epic bust. Early in the season, Panthers brass seemed to agree, benching Young in favor of veteran Andy Dalton after an ugly 0-2 start. Yep. If you remember that, they opened the season by getting beat down by the Saints. Saints hung up like 48 on an historically bad defense, which we knew what they were going to be going into the season. And I believe it was the Chargers in week 2 who beat them like 23-3, 26-3 or something like that. And then when they inserted Andy Dalton in, he dominated the Raiders, the entire team as a whole. If you would have started, like, I saw something that if you had like an all Panthers lineup in your fantasy football that week, you would have scored like 131 points. That's how good they played against the Raiders after they benched Bryce Young. But it wasn't looking good. His future in Carolina wasn't looking good after that benching for sure. It says in the second half of the season, after Young was reinstated as starting quarterback, the Panthers looked like a different team. They scored 44 in Atlanta in the final game of the season against a Falcons team that still had a chance to win the division. The Panthers also scored 38 points in a win against the Cardinals and played coin flip games against the Chiefs, the Bucs, the Chiefs, and the Eagles. That's overtime. They took all three of those teams to overtime. And I know we had like just a friendly bet in our fantasy football group chat because, of course, I'm the Panthers fan, and I was saying that Saquon wasn't going to go off like you guys probably think. But of course, if you got Saquon, you're not going to bench him. You're still going to start him, of course. And he didn't. He didn't go off like we thought. He had, like I said, I forget exactly the number. I think he had 115 yards, and I want to say I said around that number. That's what he would be held to. I knew what the Panthers were late in the season. And also the Chiefs game. They had that one won as well. Another one of those, these are three teams that made it to the playoffs, won their divisions, and you got two teams on there that made it to the Super Bowl and one who won the Super Bowl, Bucs, Chiefs, Eagles. So, like I said, man, year 3 for the Panthers, like, it says in the offseason, the Panthers attempted to beef up what was a porous run defense. Yes, it was terrible. It was terrible. And again, historically, they were never known for having a run game as bad as they looked last year. Historically, they always had a great front seven and a great run stop defense. Highlighted by the addition of former Raider safety Trevon Moehrig. On offense, standout wide receiver Tetairoa McMillan was drafted 8th overall with the hopes of giving the resurgent Young an elite go-to target, and McMillan can ball. Again, I was so surprised when they took him because I watched him at Arizona. And I watched him at Arizona, watching him ball out. And again, I always go back to that game against USC that they had with Caleb Williams was still there. That epic back and forth. I forget how many overtimes it went into. But when the draft came around, the only thing my mind was focused on was how bad the Panthers were defensively. So I didn't even think about an offensive guy. I didn't even think they would do that. But for the second straight year, they took a receiver with their number 1 pick. And I was just like, I know that guy. Like, whoa, like I was shocked, but I like the pick. If you're going to pick anybody, pick him on offense. But I thought for sure they were going to go with a nose tackle, defensive tackle, someone to plug up the middle. But, yeah. It says, if Young can sustain the level of play he flashed late last season, coupled with what should be an improved defense. Again, I don't expect it to be lights out, but I expect it to be improved when you're as bad as you were last year. It can only go up from there. The Panthers can push the Bucs and Falcons and make this a 3-team race with the Saints being a team bettors can comfortably dismiss. Yeah. At plus 400 odds, look for the sneaky Panthers to end the Bucs' run of consecutive division titles. That is the article. That's what they are saying about the Carolina Panthers. I do like the Atlanta Falcons draft. I think they had a fantastic draft, especially defensively. I think the Falcons are going to be like top 5 maybe in defense this year. I love the draft the Falcons had. I don't like the Falcons as a team, but I do love the draft that they had. But I still go Panthers ahead of them. And then I go Falcons, and then there's the Saints, who we can comfortably dismiss, as the article said. So that's where I think they stand. And again, you know, Canellis, our coach, the head coach, he knows quarterbacks. He got Bryce Young to turn it on late in the season. Again, you saw the 30-some points against the Cardinals, the 44 against Atlanta in a win. He looked comfortable out there. That man was having fun on that football field late in the season, knowing like, okay, I found my groove. So no regression this year. No injuries. Let's pray we avoid those. No regression. And I think, you know, in conclusion, I think the Panthers are ready to shock teams and win the NFC South. They don't need a lights-out defense. The Chiefs of 2018 showed you that. You just need a high-powered offense and a respectable defense, a pretty decent defense. You can't get any worse than what you were last year. And defensively, they picked it up. They turned it on last year. Again, I go back to the game against the Eagles. That game, was that game in Philadelphia? And it was in Philadelphia, and they ended up, it was close, 22-16. The Panthers had a chance to drive down and win the game. But again, the Eagles, championship pedigree, of course, they didn't, you know, win the Super Bowl by a fluke. But again, they played it tough, and you saw it right here. You saw it really started, honestly. Yeah, they won this game, but this is the game, because even Chuba Hubbard, who rushed for 153, who I like, after getting that big contract, it really, for me, started right here in that game is when I saw the Panthers starting to pick it up. And this was in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. And then it carried on here. Again, a loss, and it carried here and here. And I don't know how they lost to Dallas, but whatever. But again, you saw the progression. You saw 36-30, 36 points against that team. But then, of course, you know, Tampa was the better team last year on their way to the division. But you saw this right here, and you just saw Bryce Young really turning it on. I believe the Panthers can win this division. I believe it is an open division. It's been a poor division, so that's why I think that if you just bet Tampa and say, oh yeah, no-brainer, I think you're going to be wrong on that bet, because it's easy to say that when you look at the landscape of what the division been. But look at the Panthers for what they will be. Look at the receiving core: McMillan, Coker, Jimmy Horn Jr., Adam Thielen, Leggett, Hunter Renfrow. We got another Moore over here. David Moore. The offense is right there. Look at the run game. Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dwaddle, Trevor Etienne, our rookie. Derrick Brown. Look, we fixed the defense. Fixed the defense. It'll be respectable. J.C. Horn, probably the best DB in the game, or one of the best. So it's going to be respectable. I'm not going to continue to hold you guys. Appreciate you guys for taking this time to hear me out. Be sure to subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about this. Leave a like, comment on the video. Let me know what y'all think about what we talked about today, betting on the Carolina Panthers. And we will see y'all soon. Again, training camp is right around the corner. Hall of Fame game, preseason, regular season, postseason. So, okay, we're getting too far carried away. Let's just end it.
Bring it to you live, on time. Bring it to you live, on time. Bring it to you live, on time. Bring it to you.